Aloha, what's up everyone? I'm Daydreamers, and today we're going to be talking about the cyclical cataclysm that happens to this world every once in a while. I call it the plasma apocalypse. But I have a lot of people asking a lot of different questions, so I kind of wanted to do a little more basic today and just kind of do some basic stuff. So what I wanted to focus on today is the fact that this event that happens seems to be cyclical. It's a cycle. It's something that happens over and over and over. And we're going to take a good look at this because when it comes to the topic of like the end of the world, you know, Armageddon, so many different words for it, Judgment Day, the apocalypse, etc., the reset, pole shift. I don't feel like it's as popular a topic as so many others, and I feel like to me it's super important to study these things and to figure out when they happen, why they happen, and how our society and our world's society gets reset from time to time. For me, that's very important to start with that. Some people, when they hear about the end of the world in their mind, they may think like, oh, you know, something that only will ever happen one time. And I believe that that's because if you Google the end of the world, you know, all kinds of stuff comes up like images of the earth blowing up and the sun setting fire and melting the whole world and stuff. Like that's the end of the entire earth, right? When I talk about the end of the world, I'm talking about the end of life as we know it, not the end of life, not at all. But it's a cycle. It's something that happens all of the time. It's a world cataclysm that happens to us, you know? I mean, we can accept that earthquakes happen on a regular basis, frequently, cyclically, as do storms, as do so many other things, especially when it comes to extreme weather phenomena. Why can't we attribute that to our world as a whole going through cycles, right? Weather patterns, electromagnetic patterns, etc. So, let's see. I want to get the chat pulled up here real quick, and then we'll jump right into everything. Here we go. Let's see. One moment. There we go. All right, cool. All right, sweet. I've got the chat pulled up here. If you type in my name, then I can put your comment up on the screen there, like so. All right, let's jump into things here. I'll try to keep my eyes on the chat too. That way we can all participate at the same time. Speaking of cycles and the cycle of the end of the world, let's take a look at a few examples. First, I want to point this out, okay? I used to think about the end of the world and absolute destruction came to my mind as well. However, I don't believe that when the world ends, when this cataclysm happens, I don't believe that it's absolute destruction every single time. I believe that these cataclysms, these world tempests and magnetic storms, thank you for your donation too. I believe that they vary in frequency and in intensity. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at a few examples. Let's start with the Carrington Event. Now, the Carrington Event was a powerful geomagnetic storm that happened on in September of 1859, right? So let's check out some interesting things that happened during the Carrington Event. All right, so here's some interesting stuff that happened. Now remember, this is a worldwide electromagnetic storm that happened. In fact, it infected the entire world. It says one of the largest geomagnetic storms ever recorded, which is, you know, we've only really been recording them as of late, had occurred around this time. Auroras were seen around the world. 1859. Auroras were seen around the world. Those in the northern hemisphere, as far south as the Caribbean, those in the Rocky Mountains in the United States, where I live, said that it was so bright that the glow woke up gold miners who began preparing breakfast because they thought that it was morning. People in the northeastern United States could read a newspaper by the aurora's light. The aurora was visible from the poles to low-latitude areas such as south-central Mexico, Queensland, Cuba, Hawaii, Japan, China, etc. Telegraph systems all over Europe and North America failed, in some cases giving telegraph operators electric shocks. This is how strong the electromagnetic influx was, and this is just a little event. This is not even a big one, okay? But it's big enough for us to take notice. Too bad we didn't take it seriously. But yeah, they have little things hooked up in their ears, and they're sending out these little telegraphs and stuff, and many of them reported being shocked, right? Now check this out. It gets more interesting. Telegraph pylons threw sparks, and some telegraph operators were able to continue to receive and send messages despite having disconnected their power supply. So imagine this. Their equipment's going haywire, shocking them and stuff, and they decide, unplug it. Just unplug it. They unplug it, but it still works. It still continues to do its job. This is a great example of what happens. This is a small-scale example of what happens during the plasma apocalypse in its full glory. Our world is inundated with electricity. This is Skynet. This is when all your machines come to life all by themselves and seem to have their own sentience. And that's one of the things that happens. This is really interesting to me because when you do this research and look into the various examples and eyewitness accounts of people who have survived strange worldwide anomalies, they don't typically call it the end of the world because it's not the end of their world, right? It's just the end of someone else's. On Saturday the 3rd, September 1859, a newspaper reported that those who happened to be out late on Thursday night had an opportunity to witness another magnificent display of the aurora lights. The phenomenon was very similar to the display on Sunday night. It was brilliant, prismatic hues, more varied and gorgeous. The light appeared to cover the whole firmament, apparently like a luminous cloud, through which the stars of the larger magnitude indistinctly shone. The light was greater than that of the moon at its full, but had an indescribable softness and a delicacy that seemed to envelop everything upon which it rested. Between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, when the display was at its full brilliancy, the quiet streets of the city, resting under this strange light, presented a beautiful as well as singular appearance. In 1909, an Australian gold miner reports, I was digging at Rokewood, about 4 miles from Rokewood Township, Victoria. Myself and 2 mates, looking out of the tent, saw a great reflection in the southern heavens about 7 o'clock. And in about half an hour, a scene of almost unspeakable beauty presented itself. Lights of every imaginable color were issuing from the southern heavens, one color fading away only to give place to another, if possible, more beautiful than the last. The streams mounting to the zenith, but always becoming a rich purple when reaching there, and always curling around, leaving a clear strip of sky, which may be described as 4 fingers held at arm's length. Anyway, I'm not going to read all of this, but this is the Carrington Event. Now, aside from eyewitness accounts, how else could they research when our world has gone through an electromagnetic storm? Well, the storm leaves little fingerprints on things like ice core samples and tree rings, believe it or not. It says ice cores containing thin nitrate-rich layers have been analyzed to reconstruct a history of past solar storms, predicting reliable observations. This was based on the hypothesis that solar energetic particles would ionize nitrogen. Now, this is actually pretty important, so check this out. The hypothesis that solar energetic particles would ionize nitrogen, leading to the production of nitric oxide and other oxidized nitrogen compounds, which would not be too diluted in the atmosphere before being deposited along with the snow. So what does that mean in regular people talk, right? All that means is when the plasma apocalypse happens, there's an influx of nitrous oxide that's created by, it's the chemistry of the different gases and stuff smashing into each other, and that combined with electromagnetic charge ionizes the nitrogen. Anyways, it creates brand new chemicals and stuff, including nitrous oxide, which we're going to come back to here in a bit, because I believe that the release of nitrous oxide gas is responsible for quite a great many strange anomalies in our world. All right, let's see here. What else? There was also a smaller version of this in 1989. Let's skip the Carrington Event. Let's go over to Tunguska. The Tunguska Event, occasionally also called the Tunguska Incident, was a tremendous 12-megaton explosion, I'm reading from Wikipedia, that occurred near the Tunguska River in Russia, 1908. Now, this is pretty interesting, too, because when you look it up, they try to make it look like it's just, one little area that had some sort of weird explosion. All the trees are blown down. There's no evidence of an explosion. There's no evidence of anything catching fire, no depression in the land of some rock from space crashing into the earth or anything. It's just everything's knocked down, blown down. It says on June 30th, 1908, at around 7:17 local time, it says that Russian natives observed a bluish light, nearly as bright as the sun, moving across the sky and leaving a thin trail. Closer to the horizon, there was a flash producing a billowing cloud, followed by a pillar of fire that cast a red light on the landscape. The pillar split in two and then faded, turning to black. About 10 minutes later, there was a sound similar to artillery fire. Now, this is something else that they've reported. Eyewitnesses have reported that they heard what sounds like explosions or artillery being shot. I'm not so sure that it was artillery, though, just because it sounds like it. I hear what sounds like artillery here in Colorado Springs all the time, but it sounds like it's coming from underground. So there was a flash producing a cloud. The pillar split into two. 10 minutes later, it sounded like there was artillery. Eyewitnesses that were closer to the explosion reported that the source of the sound moved from the east to the north of them. The sounds were accompanied by a shockwave that knocked people off their feet and broke windows hundreds of kilometers away. Now, I'm not of the belief that this has anything to do with asteroids or comets or anything crashing into the earth or whatever. I've looked it up and I don't see any evidence for that, personally. And I'm not really here to convince anybody about it either. I'm just sharing my opinion and my perspective. Let's see. The explosion registered at seismic stations across Eurasia, and air waves from the blast were detected in Germany, Denmark, Croatia, and the United Kingdom, as far away as the Dutch East Indies and Washington, D.C. At some places, the shock wave was equivalent to an earthquake measuring 5.0 on the Richter scale. Interesting. Now, let's check out a couple of these eyewitness reports, right? Tell me what you think. This guy says, at breakfast time, I was sitting by the house at Vanavara trading post, about 65 miles south of the explosion, facing north. Suddenly, I saw that directly to the north, over the Tunguska Road, the sky split in two. This is his eyewitness account. This has nothing to do with the fireball or anything. The sky split into two, and fire appeared high and wide over the forest, about 50 degrees up. The split in the sky grew larger, and the entire northern side was covered with fire. At that moment, I became so hot that I couldn't bear it, as if my shirt was on fire from the northern side. Where the fire was came a strong heat. I wanted to tear off my shirt and throw it down, but the sky closed. And a strong thump sounded, and I was thrown a few meters. I lost my senses for a moment, but then my wife ran out and led me to the house. After that, such noise came as if rocks were falling or cannons were firing. The earth shook, and when I was on the ground, I pressed my head down, fearing rocks would smash it. When the sky opened up, hot wind raced between the houses, like from cannons, which left traces in the ground like pathways, and it damaged some crops. Later we saw many windows were shattered, and in the barn a part of the iron lock had snapped. Here's another account, eyewitness account. This is the Tunguska Event. This person says, we had a hut by the river, and my brother, Chekarin, was there, and we were sleeping. Suddenly, we both woke up at the same time. Somebody shoved us. We heard a whistling and felt a strong wind. Strong wind. I come across that a lot in my research as well. My brother said, can you hear all those birds flying overhead? We were both in the hut, so we couldn't see what was going on outside. Suddenly, I got shoved again. This time, so hard that I fell into the fire. I got scared, and my brother was scared too. We started crying out for our father, our mother, our brother, but nobody answered. There was noise beyond the hut. We could hear trees falling down. My brother and I got out of our sleeping bags, and we wanted to run out. But then the thunder struck. This was the first thunder. The earth began to move and rock. The wind hit our hut and knocked it over. My body was pushed down by sticks, but my head was in the clear. Then I saw a wonder. Trees were falling. The branches were on fire. It became mighty bright. How can I say this? As if there was a second sun. My eyes were hurting. I even closed them. It was like the Russians, what they call lightning. And immediately, there was a loud thunderclap. This was the second thunder. The morning was sunny. There were no clouds. Our sun was shining brightly as usual. And suddenly there came a second one. My brother and I had some difficulty getting out from under the remains of our hut. Then we saw that above, but in a different place, there was another flash, and a loud thunder came. This was the third thunderstrike. Wind came again and knocked us off of our feet, struck the fallen trees. We looked at the fallen trees, watched the treetops get snapped off, watched the fires. Suddenly, my brother yells, "Look up!" and he pointed with his hand. I looked, and I saw another flash, and it made another thunder, but the noise was less than before. This was the fourth thunderstrike, more like normal thunder. Now, I remember well that there was also one more thunderstrike, but it was small, somewhere far away where the sun goes to sleep. Let's see here. We'll do one more eyewitness account of the Tunguska event. On the morning of the 17th of June, around 9 o'clock, we observed an unusual natural occurrence in the north by a village. The peasants saw to the northwest, rather high above the horizon, some strangely bright and impossible to look at, bluish-white heavenly body, which for 10 minutes moved downwards. The body appeared as a pipe, also a cylinder. The sky was cloudless. Only a small dark cloud was observed in the general direction of the bright body. It was hot and dry. As the body neared the ground, by the forest, the bright body seemed to smudge and then turn into a giant billow of black smoke. And a loud knocking that was not thunder was heard as if large stones were falling or artillery was being fired. All of the buildings shook. At the same time, the cloud began emitting flames of uncertain shapes. All villagers were stricken with panic and took to the streets. Women cried, thinking that it was the end of the world. The author of these lines was meantime in the forest for about 6.5 kilometers north of the village, and heard to the northeast some kind of artillery barrage that repeated in intervals of 15 minutes at least 10 times. In the village area, in a few buildings, in the walls facing northeast, the window glass shook. Do you hear these accounts? Isn't this interesting? This is basically a little mini apocalypse. To me, this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that this is like a little mini apocalypse that happened. Now, like I said, we've talked about the Carrington Event and the Tunguska Event. And like I said, when we go through these geomagnetic storms or these pole reversals, and thank you guys for the donations, appreciate it. When this happens, it varies. It varies in the time that it happens, when it happens, and it varies in its frequency and its intensity. It could be one that decimates most of the world's population. But it can also be like the Tunguska event that only just happens just for a bit, boom, and then it goes away. And then it's a strange thing that people talk about and no one can explain. All right, so we talked about Carrington. We talked about Tunguska. Let's also talk about the year 774 and the carbon-14 spike. Okay, 774, I believe 80, right? Dark Ages. The 774 to 775 carbon-14 spike is an observed increase in the concentration of carbon-14 isotope in the tree rings that are dated 774 775, which is 20 times as high as the normal background rate of variation. So it was discovered during a study of Japanese cedar trees, with the years of occurrence determined by counting the tree rings, essentially. There was a surge in beryllium and the beryllium isotope that was detected in Antarctic ice cores as well, and has also been associated with the 774 to 775 AD event. I think it's AD. I'd better double check that. I'm pretty sure it is. It's known as the Magik event or the Charlemagne event, and it produced the largest and most rapid rise in carbon-14 ever recorded. Now check this out. The event appears to have been global, with the same carbon-14 signal found in tree rings from Germany to Russia, the United States, Finland, and New Zealand. The signal exhibits a sharp increase. Okay, the next part's a little technical, so I'm going to skip that. Around the exact same time. Now remember, this is alleged to have happened. So basically, they look at the tree rings and they see this anomaly, something real strange that happened worldwide just by looking at the tree rings, because the trees record this stuff, right? And in the year 774, it's very interesting. Let me get this pulled up here for you. There is an Anglo-Saxon chronicle from 774 that says, "This year also there appeared in the heavens a red crucifix after sunset, and wonderful serpents were seen in the land of the South Saxons." Same exact year. Interesting, right? Yeah, I'm going to talk about the Dark Ages here in a minute. The red crucifix, recorded by the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, has been variously hypothesized to have been a supernova or the aurora borealis. Well, at least they know it's, electromagnetic or plasmic in nature. Now, in China, there's only one clear reference to an aurora in the mid-770s, namely one that happened on the 12th of January, 776. Instead, an anomalous thunderstorm, in quotes, was recorded for 775. Interesting. So let's check out 776 in the Anglo-Saxon. Well, this is actually called the Annals of Ulster. Annals just means writings. So, excuse me, one moment. All right, so this is from 776. The whole winter in summer, i.e. heavy rain and windstorm, the bloody flux, also many other diseases, almost immortality, a great murrain of cows. 776, fiery and terrible signs were seen in the heavens after the setting of the sun, and serpents, too, were seen in Sussex, to the great wonder of the people, as if they rose in abundance out of the earth. 776. Now, this is actually from the Zhou Tangshu, the old history of the Tang dynasty. This is Chinese. And it says, at night, in the eastern direction, above the moon, there were more than 10 streaks of white vapor. They were like unspun silk. They penetrated the star groups, and then they list different constellations and stuff. After the third watch, about 1:30 in the morning, they disappeared. Interesting, right? Here's another one. It says that the team found 3 candidate reports in tablets held by the British Museum. The tablets, all from between 679 AD and 679 and 655 BC, refer to a red glow, a red cloud, or a red covering of the sky. These descriptions are similar to eyewitness reports of the Northern Lights from more modern sources. Researchers believe that they refer to 2 types of auroral behavior that can create a red glow in the sky. The sky is turned red. This is not just local. This is not sunset, okay? So don't do that. Like, if you're one of those people that's like, oh, this shit all happens locally and then people think it applies to the whole world. No. Sometimes, that's the case. But sometimes it's not. So yeah, those were from some Babylonian and Assyrian tablets that they found and dug up. Now check this out. I'd like to read. Now, you see, if you do a Google search, or if you go to the library or whatever, and you're trying to research the end of the world, it's all speculation on the future instead of actual accounts of what has already happened in our past. In our past, they just refer to it as strange anomalies of history. You know what I mean? They don't talk about it as a potential world-ending event or a geomagnetic storm or things of that nature. Let's read some interesting stories from the natives, specifically Native Americans. Now, this story is called The 3 Brothers Who Followed the Sun. This comes from the Iroquois. The Iroquois nation still retains vestiges of their adoration of the sun. They continue to observe certain rites, such as the sun dancers, which are survivals of more elaborate sun ceremonies of long ago. Among the most popular sun dances of many tribes and bands of Iroquois nation were the Ostowa Goa, or the Great Feather Dance. This became a prime religious dance of the Gaiwiu religion of Handsome Lake, the Seneca prophet. He revolutionized the religious system of the Iroquois of New York and Ontario. Hold on, let me skip to the actual story here. Where the heck is the story? Oh, here we go. All right, hold on. I lost it. In the following legend, there seems to be some modern features. However, the portion relating to the sky and the sun are very, very old traditions. He said that he had always heard the upper world described as told in this legend. He then added that the sun loved the sound of war and would linger in his morning journey to observe battle activities everywhere. But after he reached midheaven, the sun traveled at its usual speed. The legend developed in olden times when not many people were about. 3 brothers, who were not married, spent their lives hunting. When young, they enjoyed the excitement of hunting, but as they grew older, they seemed to lose the pleasure of the sport. The youngest brother suggested that for a new experience, they walk to the edge of the earth, where the sky comes down and touches the big sea of salt water. At the western side of the salt water, this world is an island. The other brothers thought that the plan sounded like a good one. When everything was ready, they started on their journey. So instead of hunting animals, they're hunting the sun now. They decided to go chase after the sun. For many years, they kept going, and many things happened to them. However, they always continued straight westward. Finally, the brothers came to a place where the sun goes under the sky's edge. The sky bends down there and sinks into the water. For a month, they camped and they watched the things that were happening. They noticed just how the sun got under the rim of the sky and disappeared quickly. They saw some men that were trying to get under the edge of the sky, but it descended too quickly for them, and they were crushed. The brothers noticed that when the sky came up, the water levels sank lower. And when the sky went into the water rose higher. The youngest brother said that he wanted to try to pass under the rim of the sky when the sun slipped under on its sun road. But the eldest brother said he thought that the happenings were too evilly mysterious and he was afraid for them to try. All right, let me explain what's going on here real quick. These 3 Indian brothers, whatever, gave up hunting animals and decided to hunt the sun. They wanted to find out where the sun goes whenever it leaves. So they chase it for many years, following after the sun. They get to the edge of the world, or the edge of the sky at least, and they say the sky bends down and dips down and it actually goes under the ocean. Interesting. So they're watching it, and they're actually saying that the sky itself sort of goes up and down. Right? When it goes down, the water levels go up. When it goes up, the water levels go down. So they're watching. And now when they see it go up, they have like a short amount of time where they can go and they can try to slip under the sky and check out what's on the other side of the sky, past our world. Without waiting for anyone's opinion, the youngest brother ran very quickly under the sky's rim and found that the rim was very thick. A second brother followed the youngest brother like a flash. Boom. They kept on the sun road with the water on each side of them. The eldest brother watched, and when he saw that nothing happened to injure his brothers, he began to run after them. They discovered that... Oh, wait, I skipped a part. Hold on. The younger brothers turned from their safe place to encourage him, but at that very moment the sky came down on the sun road and crushed the eldest brother. But they did see his spirit shoot past them quickly. The 2 remaining brothers felt very, very sad. They discovered that on the other side of the sky, everything was different. Before them loomed a large hill, which they ascended, and they saw a very large village in the distance. A man came running towards them. As he approached, he called out, "Come, come!" They realized that he was their eldest brother that just died. "How'd you get here so quickly, brother? We didn't see you come." "I was too late and passed on by a spirit road." They noticed an old man that was walking toward them. He was youthful, a youthful old man. And he was strong in body, but his hair was long and white. Maybe it was Raiden. Just kidding. He seemed like a very old man. His face showed wisdom, and he bore himself like a chief. He says, I am the father of the people of the above the sky place, he said. Howin Elu is my son. I need to advise you because I've lived here for a long time. I've always lived here. But Howin Elu was born of the woman on the island. When you see my son, you need to call quickly, Niawe Skano. If you fail to speak first, he will say, you're mine, and you will be as spirits as your brother is. The three brothers proceeded and came to a high house made of white bark. They walked up the path to the door, and a tall man stepped out quickly as the brothers said the magic words. The great man said, Doges, I have been watching you for a long time. The brothers entered the house. And when inside, the tall man said, In what condition are your bodies? The brothers said, We have fine bodies. You do not speak the truth, the man answered. I am Howin Elu, and I know all about your bodies. One of you must lie down, and I'll purify him with the other. Okay, so one brother laid down, and Howin Elu placed a small shell to his own lips and put it on the brother's mouth. He also tapped him on the back of the neck and sealed the shell with clay. Howin Elu began to skin the brother, took his skin off his body. He took apart the muscles and he scraped out the bones. He took out the organs and washed them. Then he built the man again, and he loosened the clay and he rubbed his neck. And he did this with both of the brothers. And they sat up and they said, It seems as if we had slept. And Howin Elu said, Every power of your bodies has been renewed. I'll test you now. The brothers followed Howin Elu to a fine grove of trees surrounded by a thick hedge. All kinds of flowers were blooming outside. My deer are here, said Howin Elu. A large buck with wide antlers ran toward them. He is the swiftest of my runners. Try and catch him, said Howin Elu. The men ran after the deer and rapidly overtook it. He has given us good speed, the brothers said. They soon discovered that they had many other superior abilities, and the great man tested them all on that day. They returned to the White Lodge, and the brothers saw a messenger running towards them. Upon his wide chest was a great bright ball of light. It was very brilliant. In some unknown language he shouted to Howin Elu and dashed on. Do you understand his words, or do you know what they mean? They asked Howin Elu. He is the sun, my messenger. Each day he brings me news. Nothing from east to west escapes his eye. He has just told me of a great war raging between your people and another nation. Let us look down on the earth and see what is happening. He led them to a high hill in the middle of the country and looked down through a hole where the tree had been uprooted. They saw two struggling bands of people and all of the houses burning. They could hear people crying and shouting their war cries. Men will always do this, said Howin Elu, and then they came back down the hill. The brothers stayed here for a very long time in the upper world, and they learned so much they could never tell it all at one time. Sometimes they looked down on the earth and saw the villages in which no one lived. It seemed like they were waiting for people to be born or to live there. In the upper world, they saw villages likewise awaiting the coming of people from below. Howin Elu told them a good many things, and after a time he asked a messenger to lead the brothers to the path that the sun took when he came out on the earth in the morning. They followed the messenger and they came out on the earth. So they went back into the earth, or back into our world, right on the other side of the sky. They waited until the sun had gone over the earth to the west, and again they went under the edge of the sky in the east, and they came out in their own country again. It was night, and they slept on the ground. In the morning they saw their village, and it was overgrown with trees. They followed a familiar path through the woods, and they came upon another village. Their own people were living there. They went into a council, into a house, and they talked. They told their story, but no one recognized them, except for their sister, who was now an aged woman. And she said, "The war of which you speak, that happened 50 years ago." The brothers did not care too much for the earth now, but wished that they themselves were back in the upper world. They were not like other men because they never grew tired. They were very strong, and they could chase animals and kill them with their bare hands. Nothing could kill these brothers, neither arrow nor disease. After a long time, they were struck by lightning, and both of them were killed. Presumably, they were granted their wish and joined their eldest brother in the above world. Isn't that something else? All right, who do we got in the chat? Kahil Filozov says, "J Dreamers, I just need to say I have been watching your videos, and your ideas about the universe and life is by far the most logical one for me. Sorry for my English. I love and respect you so much." Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. Very sweet. Thank you. So that's the story of the three brothers. And if you want to check it out and look it up, that comes from the Iroquois Nation. Let's see what else we got here. Let's see, what else do we got here? I love the Native American legends and stories. My God. I feel like they're so overlooked, right? I would love to just sit down with so many of the tribal elders and learn their old myths and stories and stuff. All right, let's move over to the Choctaw. My baby was a Chickawaw, wow. She's one of a kind. I had to sing that song. All right, the Choctaw. Let's see. Thousands of years of myth and story making have contributed to a rich collection of history that spans for centuries. The Choctaw continued to tell and write about their legends based in what is now known as the American Deep South. What's up, Penny? Welcome. Let's learn about, now there's a lot that we could read, okay? But I'm just going to pick out one story in particular. A couple more brothers. This is the brothers Tashka and Wallo. Two brothers named Tashka and Wallo followed the sun for many years from childhood to adult. They would follow it throughout its life in the day until it died over the horizon in the evening. One day the sun rested over a great expanse of water, and the boys swam to it and went underneath the water. They emerged in the home of the sun, finding women all around. These women were the moon and the stars. Well, that's interesting. If they jumped into some water, and when they came out, they could see the moon and the stars, which are up there. The moon was the sun's wife and asked the brothers how they entered into his realm. The brothers said that they followed the sun for many years, since they were boys. The sun then told his wife to boil water, and he placed the brothers in it, keeping them there until their skin fell off. Interesting. The sun asked if they knew their way back home, and their boys replied, "No, we don't," as they looked over the edge of the sky, seeing land, but were not able to discern their home from such a height. So, they follow the sun. They go into some waters that, from the story, make it sound like the waters are above us and not on the terrestrial land. When they get past those waters and through those waters, they're in the realm of the sun and the moon and the stars. And the moon asks, like, "What are you doing here? You know how to get back or what?" They look way down at the earth. They can't make anything out. They don't know where anything is down there so far away. The sun asked why they had followed him all these years, to which the brothers replied, they just wanted to see where he had died. The sun agreed to send them home, but instructed them not to talk for 4 days after they returned, or they would die. He called a giant buzzard to fly them home, and after they had landed, an old man recognized them and went to tell their mother. The mother, frightened, since she had not seen them for many days, made them tell her where they had been. So they told her of their journey, and they said that they will now surely die because they didn't keep their promise to the sun to be silent for 4 days. After this, the mother was very worried, but they all returned home. The brothers told the tales of the many years that they had followed the sun, after telling all of what they knew, they died, and they entered heaven. Interesting, right? So that's another story about some brothers who had followed the sun, and that's a Choctaw legend. Let's check out another Native American legend here from the Pawnee. This is the Pawnee apocalyptic myth. So we've got Tirawa Atius. Tirawa Atius is the Lord of all things, and it is he alone who determines fate. At the beginning of the world, he set a large buffalo in the sky to the far northwest. With the passage of each year, the bull loses one hair. When all these hairs are gone, the world will end. As that hair falls, there will be widespread meteor showers, and the sun and the moon will become dim. In the beginning, Tirawa Atius appointed the North Star and the South Star to control fate. The North Star once spoke directly to the Pawnee and told them that the South Star moved just a little bit to the north with each passing year. When the South Star catches up to the North Star, the world will end. The command for the final destruction of the world is in the hands of the four gods of the directions. The West will issue the command that the world will be destroyed, and the East will obey. Then the stars in the heaven will fall to the new earth and become people. The people left in this world at the time of the destruction will fly high into the sky and become stars themselves. Now, this is a Pawnee apocalyptic myth, but let me ask you a question. Where do these stories come from? Right? Kind of reminds me of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Like on the original one, there's this part where these guys are all locked up, and Jack Sparrow's in there locked up with them in his own little cell. And this guy's like, "Oh, I heard that the Black Pearl never takes survivors. I've heard these stories." And Jack Sparrow's like, if they never leave survivors, then where do the stories come from? These stories come from survivors. These stories come from the same experience that we have already gone through. The world has ended multiple times. And we remember through these stories, through these legends, through these myths. Unfortunately, over time, and in today's modern world, most of us don't believe these stories anymore. Just think they're totally made up. You know, the Pawnee made them up. The Choctaw made them up. The Chinese made them up. Everyone made them up. Don't believe it. You know, that's literally a prophecy in the Bible. It says that during the end times, people would make fun of the concept of the world ending. They would forget about it. They would be willingly ignorant of it. They don't even want to hear about it. They're like, nah, 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 nah. I don't hear you. Man, that blows my mind. Let's look at the Hopi, one of my favorite tribes. Let's see, what was I going to look at with the Hopi? So much to talk about. Let's see, Hopi. Okay, so essentially, it's not just the Hopi, but in many of these native myths, okay? And actually, it's not just native myths. Modern academics says that there have been 5 major mass extinctions. That's your school systems telling you the world occasionally ends. Might want to listen. Navajo legends say that we live in the 5th creation of our world. Boom. 1, 2, 4, 5. I'm just kidding. Aztec stories tell of at least 4 prior worldwide destructions. The Hopi history teaches that the world has been destroyed at least 3 times already. The Bible hints at prior worldwide destruction in many of its books, as well as a coming world cataclysm. We talked about the year 774. There was also like a couple hundred years later, there was another one in the year 900 something. Oh, this is interesting. On 762, May 1st, May Day, at night, there was a red light filling up the sky, penetrating near the northern celestial pole, gradually moving toward the northeastern direction to spread to half of the sky. That's from China. Talked about the Carrington Event of 1859, where auroras were seen as low as the tropics. People were shocked by their telegraph machines, which continued to work even though they unplugged them. And they unplugged them, by the way. They didn't have backup batteries or anything. They figured you unplug it and it should stop working. Nah, it didn't. We talked about the Tunguska Event. Interesting things going on there. There's also the various lost civilizations over time to consider. Entire major cities and settlements just disappearing from history without a trace. Boom, gone. Interesting. What else we got here? The Jubilee, right? The ancient Phoenician / Paleo Hebrews or whatnot, whatever you want to call them, celebrated a Jubilee year. Every 50 years, the captives, the slaves, were set free. And this was ordained by God. This is something that happened worldwide. It's not something they just did because they were told to do it. It's something that happened to the world every 50 years. You can look at the geomagnetic record from ice core samples and stuff from around the world, and you can easily see all the different occurrences. Psh, 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 like a little heartbeat. Like a little erratic heartbeat. So in the Hopi legends, we have these various creations of various worlds. The Hopi are constantly just moving up. Every time they get to a new world, they take a rod. What do they call it? They don't call it a rod. What do they call it? A reed, actually. Is it a reed? Yeah, anyways, they take a stick, a reed, a pole, a column, like... They put it in the middle of the world, and it grows all the way up to the sky. And they go up it, and they come out onto another world. And they learn a new lesson in that world. And then another reed grows up into the sky and touches the sky, and they climb up that, just like Jack and the Beanstalk. In Hopi mythology, the creator god is called Tawa, or Teowa. Who first created basically everything. Also created Spider-Woman. Not a comic book character. A god. Right? Ish. Whatever you want to call it. Spider-Woman, who served as the messenger for the creator and was the intercessor between the deity and the people. Now, that's interesting too, because there's another legend that says that whenever you have all these spider webs across the sky, that the world will soon end. The four worlds. Interesting. Oh, here we go. Let's read this. So I'm going to read the entrance into the fourth world. Now, there's a couple different versions of these, but they all, are pretty similar. In one version, after evil broke out amongst the people in the third world, with the help of the spider grandmother, or bird spirits, a hollow bamboo reed grew at the opening of the third world into the fourth world. This opening, or sipapu, is traditionally viewed to be the Grand Canyon. I have my own ideas about that. I don't think it's the Grand Canyon. According to some guy, the people with good hearts or kindness made it into the fourth world. That's another thing too. If you're a bad person, seems like you get stuck. I mean, I'm all for that. Let the good people grow and progress, Let the bad people continue to learn until they're good people again. In another version, Tawa destroyed the third world in a great flood. Before the destruction, Spider Grandmother sealed the more righteous people into hollow reeds, which were used as boats. On arrival on a small piece of dry land, the people saw nothing around them but more water. Even after planting a large bamboo shoot, climbing to the top and looking around, Spider-Woman then told the people to make boats out of more reeds and use the island stepping stones along the way. The people sailed east until they arrived at a mountainous coast of the fourth world. All right, I'm going to skip some more of this real quick. Let's see, what do I want to talk about? Oh, this is interesting. I want to talk about the back door to our world. And we're learning from the Hopi legends right now. Upon their arrival in the fourth world, the Hopi divided and went on a series of great migrations throughout the land. Sometimes they would stop and build a town, and then they would abandon it and continue on with their migration. They would leave their symbols behind on the rocks to show that the Hopi had been there. Long the divided people wandered in groups of families, eventually forming clans named after an event or sign that a particular group received upon its journey. These clans would travel for some time as a unified community, but almost inevitably a disagreement would occur and the clan would split and each portion would go its own separate way. However, as the clans traveled, they would often join together, forming large groups, only to have these associations disband, and then they would be reformed with the other clans. These alternate periods of harmonious living, followed by wickedness, contention, and separation, play an important part in the Hopi mythos. This pattern seemingly began the first world and continues even into recent history. In the course of their migration, each Hopi clan was to go to the farthest extremity of the land in every direction. Far in the north was the land of snow. One moment. Oh. Far in the north was the land of snow and ice, which was called the back door. But this was closed to the Hopi. However, the Hopi say that other people came through the back door into the fourth world. Back door could refer to the Bering Land Bridge. I don't think so. Which connected Asia to North America. The Hopi were led on their migrations by various signs, or were helped along by the Spider-Woman. Eventually, the Hopi clans finished their prescribed migrations and were led to the current location in northeastern Arizona. I want to talk about this whole backdoor concept. And in order to do that, I'd like to read a story from the Zuni. Zuni are some more Native American tribes here in America. This is called The Search for the Middle and the Hardening of the World. The Search for the Middle. Middle of what, I wonder? Let's check it out. As it was with the first men and creatures, so it was with the world. It was young and unripe. Earthquakes shook the world and rent it. Demons and monsters of the underworld fled forth. Creatures became fierce beasts of prey, and others turned timid, becoming their quarry. Wretchedness and hunger abound in black magic. Fear was everywhere among them, so people, in dread of their precious possessions, became wanderers. Living on the seeds of grass, they were the eaters of dead and slain things. Yet, guided by the beloved, under the pathway of the sun, the middle of the world, over which alone they could find the earth at rest. So, let me explain that in normal speak. The world was super messed up. And the Zuni knew that the only place where the world was peaceful was right at the middle. So they looked and they searched for the middle. Let's see what else happens. When the tremblings grew still for a time, the people paused at the first of the sitting places. Yet they were still poor and defenseless and unskilled, and the world still moist and unstable. See, whenever this apocalypse happens, the world is very muddy. There's a lot of shaking that brings the water up to the surface. Muddy world. Where was I? The world was still moist and unstable. Demons and monsters fled from the earth in the times of shaking and threatened wanderers. Don't believe in demons and monsters? Okay. You will. Possibly. Then the two took counsel Oh, I'm sorry. When the tremblings grew still for a time, people paused at the first of the sitting places. They were still poor and defenseless. Demons and monsters fled from the earth in the times of the shaking and threatened wanderers. Then the two took counsel of each other. The elders said the earth must be made more stable for men and the valleys where their children rested. If they sent down their fire bolts of thunder, aimed to all of the 4 regions, the earth would heave up and down. Fire would belch over the world and burn it. Floods of hot water would sweep over it, and smoke would blacken the daylight. But the earth would at last be safer for men. So, the beloved twain let fly the thunderbolts. Twain means two. The mountains shook and trembled. The plains cracked and crackled under the floods and fires, and the hollow places, the only refuge of men and creatures, grew black and awful. At last, thick rain fell, putting out the fires. Then water flooded the world, cutting deep trails through the mountains, and burying or uncovering the bodies of things and beings. Where they huddled together and were blasted thus, their blood gushed forth and flowed deeply, here in rivers, there in floods, for gigantic they were. But the blood was charred and blistered and blackened by the fires into the black rocks of the lower mesas. There were vast plains of dust and ashes, cinder, reddened like the mud of the hearth place. Yet many places behind and between the mountain terraces were unharmed by the fires. Let me read that one more time for all you people asking me how to survive. There were vast plains of dust, ashes, and cinders, reddened like the mud of the earth. Yet many places behind and between the mountain terraces were unharmed by the fires. And even then, green grew the trees and grasses, and even flowers bloomed. Then the earth became more stable, drier, and its lone places less fearsome, since monsters of prey were changed into rock. Petrified. Stupefied. But ever and again the earth trembled, and people were troubled. Let us again seek the middle, they said. So they traveled far eastward to their second stopping place, the place of the Bare Mountains. So they're going to the middle of the earth again, right? Basically, here's this entire story in a nutshell. People are in the middle. They're told, leave, go, check it out, explore, spread out, right? It's not good for you guys to be all in one spot. So they spread out. They live, everything's fine, but then the world starts getting crazy and scary, and they're like, we need to go back to the middle. The middle's always a safe place. Again, the world rumbled, and they traveled to a country, to a place called Where Tree Bowls Stand in the Midst of the Waters. There they remained for a long time, saying, this is the middle. And they built homes there. And at times they met people who had gone before, and thus they learned war. And they met many strange things happened there, and they told in speeches of the ancient talk. Then, when the earth groaned again, the twain bade them to go forth, and they murmured. Many refused, and perished miserably in their own homes, as do rats in falling trees or flies in forbidden food. But the greater number went forward, until they came to steam mist in the midst of the waters. And they saw the smoke of men's hearth fires, and many houses scattered over the hills before them. When they came nearer, they challenged the people rudely, demanding who they were and why they were there. For in their last standing place, they had a touch of war. We are the people of the seed, said the men of the hearth fires, born elder brothers of ye, and led of the gods. No, our fathers, we're led of the gods, and we are the seed of the people. So they're bickering about who rightfully owns the earth, I guess. Long live the people in the town on the sunrise slope of the mountains of Kaluelawan, until the earth began to groan warningly again. Loath were they to leave the place of the Keka and the lake of their dead. But the rumbling grew louder, and the twain beloved called them, and all together they journeyed eastward, seeking more the place of the middle. But they grumbled amongst themselves. So when they came to a place of great promise, they said, "Let's stay here. Perhaps it may be the place of the middle." So they built houses there, larger and stronger than ever before, more perfect, for they were strong in numbers, and they were wiser, though yet unperfected as men. They called the place of the sacred stealing. Long they dwelt there happily, but growing wiser and stronger, so that with their trials and dressed in the skins of animals, they saw that they were rude and ugly. In chase or in war, they were at a disadvantage, for they met older nations of men with whom they fought. No longer they feared the gods and monsters, but only their own kind. So therefore the gods called a council. "Changed shall ye be, O our children," cried the twain. "Ye shall walk straight in the pathways, clothed in garments and without tails, that ye may sit more straight in council, and without webs to your feet or talons on your hands." So the people were arranged in a procession like dancers, and the twain, with their weapons and fires of lightning, shored off the forelocks hanging down over their faces, severed the talons, and slitted the webbed fingers and toes. Sore was the wounding, and loud cried the foolish. When lastly the people were arranged in procession for the raising of their tails. Raise means to cut off, just so you know. Like a razor, you know? Anyway, it actually goes on for quite some time. So I'm not going to read all this story. Oh, at the end, this is the end of the story. Let me check. I'm just going to read this part. His heart rested over the middle of the plain in the valley of the Zuni, and when he drew in his finger legs, lo, there were the trail roads leading out, and in like stays of a spider nest, into and from the midmost place he had covered. Here, because of their good fortune in finding the stable middle of the earth, the priest father called the town the abiding place of happy fortune. And there's a little side note that says the earth was flat and round like a plate. That's interesting. What else do we got? Oh, now, hold on. Let me jump back in the chat here real quick. I'm sorry. I wasn't even paying attention. Smart Libra says, "J Dreamers, you the man. Can't wait to watch this from the start." Right on. Thank you. Remember how I said that, one of the ways we can tell when we've had one of these worldwide electromagnetic storms or geostorms, is from the influx of nitrous oxide that we can see in ice core samples and in the tree rings, right? Well, I've talked about nitrous oxide a few times already. I believe that a lot of it is created during this, and there's clouds and pockets of nitrous oxide gas that just float through. It might also come up from within the earth. I believe that the earth contains a lot of different gases, and from time to time they're released. People don't realize it though. They just see weird shit happening all over the place. Excuse my language. For example, dancing mania, the dancing plague. I kid you not. Essentially, when did this happen? In modern day Germany, in 1374, a dancing plague spread throughout Europe. One particularly notable outbreak occurred in Strasbourg in 1518. So this happens in different places from time to time. The dancing plague or dancing mania, also called choreomania, St. John's dance, tarantism, and St. Vitus's dance, is a social phenomenon. This is Wikipedia. That occurred primarily in mainland Europe between the 4th and 17th centuries. That's quite 14th century all the way out to the 17th century. Really? This is insane. I'm just going to sum up, okay? Because this whole article and every article I've ever read about it is going to say that people were just crazy, right? One crazy person just pretended like they couldn't stop dancing or whatever. And then all of a sudden, totally sane people just decided for whatever reason, because of anxiety or depression or whatever, like, fuck it, I'm going to dance all day long too. These people danced for days and days and days. People died from dancing, from exhaustion. Hundreds and hundreds of people could not stop dancing about. Also, there is the laughing plague. Exact same situation, but instead of dancing, people just started erupting in laughter. Could not stop laughing. I believe that gases released, specifically nitrous oxide, but could be many other ones as well. There's these pockets, there's these clouds of nitrous oxide gas, and whenever they pass through a city or they get low enough to the ground or whatever, this kind of crap that happens. And people are like, oh, that's weird, you know. They can't explain it. It's just a strange anomaly that nobody has any good explanation for whatsoever. So, Plasma Apocalypse 101. The only thing you need to really take away from this video is that it's a cycle. It's been happening. The end of the world is not some far away, you know, creative story that will never happen in your lifetime. I'd say on average, it happens about once every solid 100 or 200 years. Remember, it doesn't have to be like the ultimate main event kind of world-ending reversal, electromagnetic reversal, or geomagnetic storm. It could just be little ones that happen. Just a little one, a little one. Now, check this out. That also means that the longer amount of time that goes between these little releases of pressure, right, or these reversals, the stronger the next one is likely to be. So, do some research. Think about when the last one may have happened, right? Or when the last big one may have happened. Well, we know that there was a big one that occurred sometime around, I don't know, 3000 BC, when the Mayans started their civilization and the Book of Enoch was written and the floods had subsided, etc. We know that there was one according to the tree rings and the ice core samples around the 700s and then the 900s. We know that there's been other little events since then, like the Carrington Event and the Tunguska Event. We know that these things have been recorded throughout time and history. We just don't understand what to name it. We don't understand how to categorize it. Hopefully, now we do. What's up? All right, I'm in the chat now. I just kind of want to hang out with the people. Sorry if I seem kind of down too. I'm going through all kinds of crap, like, personally. Like, it's just a rough time energetically, but I'm trying to persevere. I'm trying to get through it. So, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for all your donations and stuff too. I really appreciate it. Now, do you guys have any questions about the topic today? If you do, type in @JDreamers, just like TNRC just did. And he says @JDreamers. Hello, Jay. Hello, TNRC. Hello, lady. But yeah. So check this out. Who are we? I like that. Who are we? Says at least we'll go out laughing. You might be way closer to the truth than you think. A lot of truth is said in jest. And I like to think that God is merciful and has a sense of humor. So, you know, when these world-ending events happen, it's nice. Nice. God just seems to just get everyone high off of nitrous oxide so they can laugh. It's crazy. There's always a good side. Stellium7 says, J-Dreamers, I love your work. I wonder if you have seen the research that I've done on the Titan Montgo in Spain. Your Petrified Titans video was one of the things that made the penny drop for me. Well, that's cool. I'm glad I was able to help you out. Hey, it's the Jigger. What's up, bro? I haven't seen you in forever. Oh man, one of the original people says, "Hey there, Jay, old buddy. Good to see you, brother." You know why I like this dude? He made a whole video, like, just meditating and focusing good vibes my way. And, oh my God, I needed him. So, I'll never forget that, just so you know. I appreciate you, bro. Gato Negro, the black cat, just did a little super chat sticker and made a donation. Thank you. I appreciate you. New moon today. Death, rebirth, energy. Okay. Sweet. Oh, that's because of, you know, I'm going through some stuff. I see. Smart Libra says, if I had money to send, I would, bro. I'm in debt. You and me both. Like, anytime people donate my way, it goes straight to bills. I just barely get by, so I can understand. So yeah, it's the thought that counts, though. You know, if you want to show your appreciation, but you don't have like money to donate, which I don't even ask for, but super need and appreciate, you know, just contribute. Leave a positive comment, leave, you know, a like or whatever. That helps out, you know, obviously with the algorithm and whatever. We got Morongo Steve, sorry. Says, J Dreamers, is the sun God's projector? Don't know what you mean by that, buddy. You're gonna have to be more specific. Let's see. Anybody else in the chat? Yeah, just donate some good vibes. I totally agree. Donate some good vibes. I need that more than anything. I feel I need it so bad. God. Oh man. Stellium 7. Here we go. Says, oh, I already read that one, I think. The Missing Curve says, J Dreamers, do you look into dragons on the earth? These large dragons like quarter the size of a continent. Nah. Nah, I totally don't. I'm not into that. I'm not against it, but I'm not super convinced, and I have not seen anything that really convinces me. I know most of you guys, when you bring this up, are talking about Rogers from Mud Fossil University's dragon video. I'm not convinced. Like, I'm all about petrification and, you know, huge giant beings in the past and stuff, but I'm just not convinced. I mean, I don't know how else to say that. So, no, I don't believe that there were... So far, I should say, I'll preface that. So far, I'm not convinced that there were giants or dragons or whatever the size of entire continents. Sorry. Nah, I'm not super convinced. Like, the sky only goes up so high before you can't even breathe anymore. So, I don't know. Not super convinced. Not that I don't like Roger or anything. I love his channel. Don't really watch it as much as I used to, but... I always support people thinking outside the box. What? Martin Boardman says, hey guys, I just showed up, my first live stream. Right on, welcome. What does the circle gets the square mean? Jason uses that phrase a lot. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. That's actually from Hollywood Squares. It's an old game show, like when I was a kid. So if you got something right... they would say, circle gets the square, or whatever. It was kind of like tic-tac-toe. So, that's my way of saying, that's right. Anyway. It's a fun way of saying it. I'm being sent lots of love and light by Sholby. Thank you. Need that. Morongo Steve says, who built the moon? Pff, fuck if I know. Don't know. Sorry. I don't even know if the moon was built. Why was the moon built? What makes us think that the moon was built by anything? You know what I mean? I don't know. Lots of questions. Who else? We love you, bro. This world wouldn't be the same without you. That's one... That's... really? I think so, huh? I appreciate it. Thanks for the compliment. Vandersvan says, J Dreamers, do you know about the 7 burning mountains in the Book of Enoch? I have read the Book of Enoch, but it's been a while. I don't remember the 7 burning mountains. I'll have to take a refresher. Stellium 7 says, sorry to repeat, just wanted you to see it, blah, 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 unveiling. Yes, I know you have a YouTube channel. You want me to look at it. I appreciate it. I may not. Emmanuel Sanchez says, J Dreamers, are you at all concerned with the end of your world? Nope. Not even a bit. Not even a bit. Me personally, I'm like, I don't even know how to explain how I'm feeling lately. I don't even want to go down that road. Kevin C says, J Dreamers, have you looked into the seraphim and the cherubim and what Ezekiel saw? The Old Testament Ezekiel's book. I'm not a Christian, but it's a crazy story. Yes, I have. I used to be a pretty hardcore Christian, and I have studied the Bible more than probably any other book that I've ever read. So yes, I'm very familiar with that. Let's see here. The reptilians built the moon. Fucking A, did they really? Okay. Jesus. Oh, did I see The Color Out of Space? Yes, I totally saw The Color Out of Space. Love that movie. And I love the acting. It's pretty good acting for such a crazy concept. Anybody else? Anybody else in the chat? Anybody got any comments about what we were just talking about? It blows my mind that people never really comment on what was just presented. Instead, they're just like, oh, hey, something totally unrelated. I'm like, okay. During a live stream? Okay, I mean, let's change the subject, whatever. I mean, I'm done talking about the whole deal, so I don't, whatever. Let's talk about whatever. Let's see here. Zenwin AZ says, J Dreamers, I hope you feel better soon. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. I'm sure I will. Everything fluctuates, you know what I mean? Everything spirals. Whatever Tube says, just sending support, bro. I bought your book. How long did it take you to write it and to do the research? Good question. So a lot of the research just comes from years and years of my own personal research. How long did it take to write? I don't know. It was kind of off and on. Like, I was going through a lot of personal crap in my life, so I started writing it, and I took a break for a long time because I was going through my own issues. So altogether, it took probably like a year and a half, 2 years maybe. But if you condense all that time, it probably took like 3 months. You know what I mean? Hey, Bob Marley's Three Little Birds. Good recommendation. I probably will, actually. I probably will. I was just playing that song on the piano the other day. Let's see. Will I be saved on a boat? What? You guys. Let's see here. Oh, Matthew, the Jigger, says, how do you get Pikachu on a bus? I don't know. How do you get Pikachu on a bus? It's already funny. I haven't even heard the punchline. Tell me. That already cracks me up. Thank you. I really needed to smile. I really appreciate it. You have no idea. Thank you. Twadwazzle says, the Three Brothers story was amazing. I'd love to hear more accounts and stories from ancient cultures and your take on them, Jay. I'm sure you will. Also, I'll just throw this out there. God, like I'm going through so much garbage in my life. Like, my life is pretty good. It's okay, you know. Like, for those of you who don't know me, I live in like a little fourplex, you know. I'm not rich or anything. Not everyone with a lot of subscribers on YouTube is rich, so get that out of your mind. But I lost my son again, temporarily. It keeps on happening, so I'm going through my own little struggles, you know, with garbage that's happening, with drama in my own personal life and people that I know and stuff like that. So I don't want to share all that with you guys, just because it's kind of unrelated, and it's, you know what I mean? It's I don't like it. I don't even want to put that out there for you guys to worry about. Even though I know many of you have shown concern for me, and you're so encouraging. I really appreciate it. You have no idea. Literally. Many of you have zero idea. I will just one comment will brighten my day. Jeremy Stewart says, J-Dreamers, I think a book that was removed from the Bible that talked about the serpent that eats its tail and circles the whole world to cause a former destruction in the past. I think so too. Kevin C., I've been watching all your old videos, bro. Glad to see you always stay true to how you present your information. The technical difficulties always crack me up. Not me. Oh my God. They give me anxiety. I hate it. Spirit Fia says, J-Dreamers, do you think the story of Romulus and Remus connects to all of the stories of the brothers that you talked about before? Good question. So I keep coming across... Hey, Hopi, check you out. I got a donation from Hopi. Makes my heart happy. Thank you. So, good question. Romulus and Remus. I might have to do a video on the twins. The twins always come up. You know what I mean? I do not think that the twins are beings, as in flesh and blood beings. Okay? I think that there's something else. There's too many examples of these two twins that are usually gods of some kind. I don't lean towards them actually being physical beings. Not from the Anunnaki, not from Egyptian, not from any of them. I don't think so. I think there's more to the twins than meets the eye. Jess Gesper says, J-Dreamers, I thought that's why you were down. Try to distract yourself. Don't feel bad about not divulging info. It's good advice. Thanks. Oh, how do you get... How do you get... What was the thing's name? The Pokemon. Pikachu, right? How do you get Pikachu on the bus? You poke him on. I love that. You know why? Because it's as terrible as my jokes. I love it. Thank you. Let's see. Who else we got in the chat? Oh, Zenwin AZ made a $5 donation with a little super sticker that says critical hit. That's kind of cool. I like it. Thank you. And Whatever Tube also. Wow. Whatever Tube says, do you like John Levi? Okay, let me time out right there. I like John Levi when I can play him at like 2 to 3 times the speed. Right? I feel like John Levi is stuck in a time trap where he can only speak in slow motion. So I have to speed him up all the time. I don't really watch him that much, honestly, because I kind of get the point of a lot of the videos. And I don't need a lot. So I don't follow a lot of people, I guess you would say. I just glean from a lot of people. Do you like John Levi? Mud flood reset cycles. And hey, I've lost my son. I'm an ex-military myself. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I got my kid back and it took years. Oh, fuck, really? Redonkulous? Alright, well, hey, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. But yeah, John Levi, his voice just, he sounds like the Clear Eyes guy to me. Like, sounds like Bill Nye, or not Bill Nye. What's his name? Not Bill Nye. Forget Bill Nye. He's a comedian. What was that guy's name? I forgot his name. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Sally Perry says you have great content. Thank you. Okay. Oh, Ben Stein. That's right. Thank you. Stein means stone, for those of you who don't know. Maybe that'll help you out in your research one day. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take off. I've really enjoyed sharing all the content. My apologies for my energy being off today. You know, I didn't want to get in the habit of not doing a YouTube video just because I'm not feeling that great. I feel like I've got great research and experience that I love to share with other people so that you can share in my perspective, you know, and my path that I walk, right? And my path that I walk is constantly growing. I'm never going to tell you this is the truth. This is the way that it is. This is undeniable. This is absolute. I don't do that, right? I believe in everything or I believe in nothing. And I'd rather believe in everything. With that being said, I'll tell you guys I love you. Hope to see you again soon. And let's roll the credits. I'm J-Dreamer saying good vibes and goodbye.
I try so hard to fade away. away.